So, Bill, let's start with the biggest story of the week, in your opinion. What do you think it is?
The Biden interview with my pal Lester Holt.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives you an insight into why the country's in chaos now, and it is. And so it's a 22-minute interview, as you pointed out in your introduction earlier. I did 3 Super Bowl interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Mine were 17 minutes, 2 with President Obama, 1 with President Trump. And they are difficult interviews to do because I had to do 2 of them live right before the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. And that was a tough one because, Obama, he can filibuster.
Yep.
He can give you 20 minutes on your socks.
Yeah. So can Donald Trump.
And he can. Yeah, Trump is a wanderer kind of guy.
People don't know how hard it is to interview these guys because you have a very limited time and you've got so many things you want to ask, and it's easy for them to make you look rude by interrupting.
And Lester, from what I've seen, they released 8 minutes out of the 22. And you got to figure that's the tough stuff. Lester did his job, all right? Unlike some of the other people in the past who would not challenge, Lester did. So there were 2 things that struck out in the 8 minutes that NBC released. The first is the delusional world that Joe Biden lives in. And again, this is important. This is not just cheap-shotting a president for ideological reasons. If the leader of the free world lives in a delusional world, that's going to come back to hurt everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So he says basically that no. Even though the Pentagon told us, the Biden administration, that this wasn't the right way to get out of Afghanistan, I reject their report. So you go, you're not a military expert. Neither is anybody surrounding you in the White House. No one. Yet there's voluminous evidence that you were told just pulling everybody out in the middle of the night and abandoning Bagram Air Base would lead to disaster, which it did, and you reject that? That's delusional.
Well, but it's more than that, isn't it, Bill? I mean, it's not just delusional. The fact that he never took responsibility for it or has paid any price for it is even a bigger problem.
He's paid a price, and that's why the stat you just cited, 56% of Americans don't agree with anything he's ever done, because Afghanistan destroyed his credibility among independents.
Mm.
And so he did pay a price in the court of public opinion. Now, the second interesting part was the inflation. So clearly Biden, in the beginning of the inflationary spiral up, clearly said, temporary, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So now we're, zeroing in on 8-9 months of higher prices for everything you need. And so Holt goes, were you wrong? Did you underestimate that? Oh, no. You're a wise guy for asking that question. Now, for me doing that interview, I would have said, no, I'm not. I'm not a wise guy. I'm doing my job. Inflation is hurting every single working class American. And you're sitting there with a wrong prediction. Did you boot it or not? That's not a wise guy question. That's what I would have done, which is why NBC News would never hire me.
But it's also his explanation. He's like, let's look at what caused inflation. We couldn't get chips for the cars, and that's what's making cars. Well, what's making my bread and my eggs and my gasoline go up?
Right. But and then he says something even more absurd. That if you pass my bill back better, $2 trillion in federal spending bill, inflation will go down. I don't think there's an economist in the world that believes that. And then it goes back to my initial, very perceptive analysis, Beck. He lives in a delusionary world.
Okay, so let's just say that's true. What world do the people around him live in? I mean, where is, we heard the press. I hope, God, there's somebody in the White House that's going to stop Donald Trump from blowing up the whole world. Where are the calls for anybody? I mean, you can't be this wrong and love the country and have people around you that love the country and not say to you, Mr. President, if you don't change, I've got to say something, because this is the worst track record for America of all time. There's nobody. Is he delusional, or is he surrounded by people who are taking the country in a completely different direction?
Okay. Jimmy Carter did the same thing, but he didn't do it as quickly. So Biden has brought the country to a bad place in a year. Carter took him 2 years. Carter had a staff. Biden has a staff. Trump had a staff. And believe me, if you went in and told Trump that he was screwing up, you weren't going to be there long. Mm-hmm. Okay? Same thing with Biden. I mean, if you go in and say, Mr. President, with all due respect, I think we should probably tell the world that we miscalculated both inflation and Afghanistan, but even though Afghanistan we can't do anything about, inflation we're gonna get down, and here are 5 things that we're gonna do that you can go out and say. Now, would Biden fire the person? Probably, and it would be Jill Biden who does it, as I have been telling my audience on the radio and on BillO'Reilly.com, the No Spin News. Jill Biden is the White House whisperer. And last week you saw her for the first time go out and talk about policy.
Yeah, what was that about? What was that about?
That was about, she gave a speech to the community college people in D.C., and she said, well, we're not going to get free community college, and it's a shame. Both Joe and I think it's a tragedy, blah, blah, blah. She had never really talked policy before, but I know that she is the whisperer in the White House, far more powerful than Ron Klain and Susan Rice and the others. And, Jill, I don't think has the acumen, with all due respect to her PhD in education, to run the country, but I think Joe Biden has more influence than anyone else on Joe Biden.
So you're a history buff. You know Edith Wilson, Woodrow Wilson's wife. Do you think it's that kind of situation and could get that bad where she really was the president? Yeah.
Well, I partied with Edith Wilson.
What, in your 50s?
Yeah. She, you see, at the time, Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and became incapacitated. It was almost over for that administration. And what happened in the country after World War I was that the president basically sat back and didn't do much. Here, we're right in the middle, not in the middle, we're right at the beginning of the Biden administration. I compare Jill Biden to Nancy Reagan. I think that's a better comparison, because Nancy Reagan, once Ronald Reagan was shot, and as you know, Beck, as you read my book, Killing Reagan, very closely, Nancy Reagan emerged as the most powerful person in the White House because you could not see Ronnie, couldn't see him, couldn't talk to him, and that includes his top advisors, unless Nancy signed off on it. Now, Nancy had no interest in public policy. And did not get involved other than the drug just say no thing. But Jill Biden apparently does. And she's a very liberal woman. Very, very liberal woman.
Yeah. I will tell you that this is why I like Ron DeSantis so much. His wife makes him look like a flaming liberal. His wife is
I don't know.
Very
I'm
conservative
right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, coming from New York to Florida, 2 different countries.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely incredible, the life I live in New York, and then I get on a plane and I'm down here in Florida, and it's totally different in every way.
Yeah.
Better in Florida. Mm-hmm. But I don't know DeSantis' wife. I have not partied with her as I did with Edith.
Yeah. No, but I will tell you that I've heard that from multiple people that she, I think she's Cuban, isn't she? Or Cuban descent, and she is very conservative, and it is the wife that you really need to watch. Because they wield a lot of power.